Well, I think the biggest barrier to learning is the human hunger to get to a solution. A problem presents itself, you want to solve it and move on. And so I'll do that again. So a problem presents itself, you want to solve that and you want to move on. When instead you'd be better served in many cases by stopping and pausing and thinking and saying, wait a minute, what are the range of possible outcomes that I could be pursuing now? And how would I know which was the right one? So taking more time up front. Secondly, we know that learning benefits enormously from repetition. So the first time you do anything, you're going to be bad at it. The first time you try to do, ride a bicycle or write a paper or do whatever. And so breaking big uncertain situations down into component projects where we can learn quickly, right? And in rapid small cycles, that's a really good way to foster learning instead of trying to do things in a great big giant leap.
Mm-hmm. So you then kind of, to me, that's sort of a transition, that ability to learn fast. But what you also talk about, and as I read through your ideas, means spotting and responding is one thing. But you also write about the need for leaders to sort of galvanize that entire organization to do exactly that, right? Embrace new ways of thinking and behaving. And that galvanizing is such a strong word, and because it so captures what the work is. So what have you learned, and what are some examples of leaders or organizations that have done a great job of galvanizing the entire organization when they're starting to see these signals at an inflection point?
Well, in the book, I talk about Klockner that saw the advent of digital platforms as a real existential threat to their business. So Klockner's a metals distributor in Germany, based in Germany, and they were very manual. I mean, they were still accepting orders by fax. They had excess inventory everywhere. And their CEO, a guy named Gisbert Ruhl, kind of looked around the corner and he said, wait a minute, if we don't create a platform, if we don't go digital, somebody else is going to do it. And once they've done that, that could be the end of our business. So they made the very determined effort to really embrace digital. And they started at first doing it internally. So they gathered together the senior leaders and had an offsite, and that got nowhere. And so what they then did was they took 2 engineers and put them in Germany's equivalent of Silicon Valley, which is in Berlin. And they said, look, just do something digital that makes us easier for customers to do business with. Like, that's all we want. Just start there. And what they did was they automated the ordering system, which had been done by faxes before this. And eventually, step by step, they got the organization to the point where now they have a digital platform. So sort of think of it as Amazon for metals ordering. But they've also created an industry-wide platform for ordering metal products, which has been attempted for time after time after time since the early 90s, and nothing had succeeded until this one. So what Ruhl did was he used a lot of subtle and overt, but also very subtle inputs to get people galvanized. So one of his inputs was a thing he calls non-hierarchical communication, which for a German company, that's saying a lot, right? And this happened to be Yammer. And what he did was he gave everybody in the company a Yammer account and basically said, look, if there's something going on in your part of the company you think I would benefit by knowing about, send me a note. And it doesn't have to be big and formal, and let's get rid of all that hierarchy. Just tell me, and I'd be interested. And then what was fascinating was he never was punitive, right? So like if somebody said this is all screwed up, he never went to the manager of that unit or group and like dumped on them, right? He said, well, I'm glad you told me. Let's see what we need to do to get this to be correct. Let's see what we need to do to fix this. And I think it created in the organization this sense that, owning your mistakes was okay, not being punitive about things going wrong. That was a normal part of and let's all be in this together, making progress, moving forward. And I think that's tremendously important, that human element of, let's problem solve together rather than blaming each other.